preferred link you would like me to drop?
Yeah, I guess just my website is probably the best one, just
All right.
johnkissee.com. Um, you can, I have my socials too, but I guess that can be put up later.
I do have those in the
Oh,
description of YouTube.
okay. Yeah, that's perfect. And
I,
if I can I use that screen sharing thing if I want to show images, or is
yeah,
that
of course, of
tricky?
course, of
Okay,
course. Yeah, 100%.
that might be cool if we whatever.
Yeah, feel free. Feel free to add whatever you'd like to, and then whenever we get there, I can always give you the wheel and let you pop it up.
Okay. Yeah, I've got some stuff loaded up. We can take a look at some pages. So everything good? Lily's good? And
Oh,
how
yeah. 7 months.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So she's big. She's babbling. She's crawling.
Oh.
We for her 6 month, we let her chew on a steak. It's a thing we saw that
Oh,
like eat weaning. I forgot what they call it. So they have new things. Because I
yeah.
remember raising my first daughter, I would have never even. I would have been like, oh my god, giving her a steak? Are you insane? But like, I
Right.
guess it's something that's not too bad to do.
Right. A little treat, kind of like.
Yeah, the idea, like she didn't have her teeth, so you give it to them before they have their teeth. They chew on it and kind of get used to just chewing on food, and you take it away before it breaks apart and stuff.
Right. I'm sure
But
she.
still pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm sure she really enjoyed it.
And then anytime I cook steak, I always cut off a little bit, give it to my cats, before I
Oh, yeah.
season it.
So you got your
Which,
kid there. My
oh
dog is
yeah.
right. She's giving me
So,
emotional support.
um, what's all gonna be spoilers? Is there anything I shouldn't talk about? Remember, mics are hot.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to talk about the stories? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I actually have some spoiler-ish pictures in there,
cool,
but
perfect, perfect.
without any context, I'm hoping it'll just get people excited about the book, even if they, you know, forget some of the end, some of the ending or some of the
You
big
know,
or
it was
whatever.
cool too
But
because we've talked about this before, and going through it a second time, and maybe it's because I've done like a really extensive amount of like studying and researching within the comic industry.
yeah,
Maybe it's like reading it a second time, and maybe it's reading it in physical form. I can't like really like pinpoint which of the three, but like I like was able to like pick out so much more the second time around, I feel.
oh, cool. Yeah,
Yeah, and it was really cool. Just like looking for like the little hints of
yeah,
Dr. Rigby and
it's kind of
kind of
like
like who he is. You know what I mean? Like you leave these breadcrumbs. That's enough to kind of like guess without like enough to give us everything.
right. Yeah, that was my intention, and yeah, that's why I put that Easter egg guide in the back too, to be like, I really had fun with those little references. So I was like, well, here's a guide, here's a handy guide. You can look back at the comic and look for the little fun Easter eggs.
So everyone that is joining us, thank you for joining us. Good morning, welcome. Right here is a link to check out John and all of his work at johnkissee.com. We have our new sponsor, W Energy Drink.
Awesome.
My significant other was getting really worried about drinking like 2-3 Red Bulls a day. So this is a more, I don't know if it's natural, but a more healthier alternative.
Oh, I got to try that because I've been trying to wean myself off of regular energy.
Yeah, I do. And I don't know what it is because eventually, like, you start getting hooked, right? And like, people don't realize you can get hooked on that. Like, you wake up and then you don't have it, and you're like getting grumpy. And you're like, well, I need to go get my energy drink.
Right.
That's what it has to be.
Yeah, and then you do feel better. What's the name of it again?
It's Dubby, Dubby.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Use code Geekly for 10% off. So we are green across the board. I'm good to go and dive into this as long as you are.
Yeah, I'm ready. Yep.
All right, let's begin in 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic episode of Keeping It Geekly. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we're hanging out with our returning guest, John Kissee. We're here to break down Dr. Rigby, Tales from the Deep, and everything in between. And John, thank you so much for sending me a physical copy.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
I always love when creators do that.
Yeah.
I always take the opportunity to always consume the material, but it feels it hits differently when you read it physically. I mean, there's no shame to digital at all ever, but like holding the physical book in your hand, there's like just something that you can't replicate with that.
It's true. It's a different experience. Like, yeah, I like digital too, but it's like, yeah, this is an old school analog experience.
Yeah, because like there's so many different choices you can make with a book, and I really thought like the page texture in particular with this was just like so perfectly suited for the story.
Thanks. Yeah, that was kind of a bit of a surprise to me that the publisher Marcosia printed it on that uncoated kind of raw looking paper, which I really was surprised, but I really enjoyed it. Like you say, I think it fits the retro kind of nature of the story pretty well. So I was pretty pleased with it.
And I really do love the retro aspect of Dr. Rigby. I mean, Tales from the Deep is a collection of a couple stories, which we'll be talking and diving into in a little bit. But I really enjoyed just like not only the more old school vibe. I know the one story takes place in the 60s. Do they all take place around that time era?
Around, yeah, varying points in the 60s, 62 to 6. Probably there's like a late 60s, early 70s sort of Scooby-Doo-ish era story also. But
oh yeah, no, I love the Monster Mayhem, dude. Oh my god, that was so perfect.
Yeah.
I really, not only that, I like the way you really transition into these stories too. So I mean, I don't know if you'd call it like an collection, like an anthology, or just like a collection of short stories, but the way you transition from each story was awesome too, because they all had their own like little title card, which I thought was really cool. It felt like an old school retro horror movie. But you also give that like 1-page leeway where it like feels like it might be briefly like taking off from the last story, but then it's its own. Like, so it's like a seamless transition almost, it felt.
Yeah, that was intentional. Like I kind of was going for that old school retro TV adventure feel where it was kind of maybe Twilight Zone-ish, or where yeah, there was this consistent kind of title card where it was the same font, and then it was like, tonight's episode is whatever, and the protagonist would be in some new situation. So yeah, I wanted it to have that consistent feel, almost like you're watching an old adventure show from the mid 60s.
So I know we talked about it before. It's been what, it had to have been like 2-3 years since you've last been on the show.
Yeah.
So what's been up since the last time you've been on? And then let's dive into Dr. Rigby.
Yeah, just finishing that, those other stories for the comic that was completed, and that came out in early 2024. And I'm working on some new stuff, but it's just, I've been busy with the old day job, which how that is. But so yeah, it's kind of slow going, but I'm definitely, I'm really trying to promote the book and definitely have some new things cooking up, which I'm hopefully can share with you on another episode when I get more done. But yeah, everything else is going well. I got my doggy here, and everything else is relatively okay, and at least in the household. Yeah.
And for anyone who might be new or might be listening, John helped us out tremendously with a nice little rebrand for the channel. So all those nice little thumbnails you've seen was thanks to John, and I cannot thank you enough. The added image and just like overall branding of the channel improved like tremendously, and like that is something I can't really put a price on. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure. Like I remember we talked about it briefly, and I was like, do I have some ideas? And I started working. I was like, then I got really into it. I was like, Cody's gonna love this. And but it was important for me to make you kind of, because you're kind of the center of the channel. So it was like make you kind of front and center as a comic character. It's appropriate.
So speaking of comic characters, though, Dr. Rigby is one hell of a dashing, impeccably dressed gentleman. We don't know a whole lot about this guy. I mean, I have some hints. I have some ideas. He's definitely older than he looks, though.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing by a couple centuries. I mean, there was one story where we talked about this on the last show, where it was he was like on a pirate ship. It almost felt like.
Yeah, he definitely that's a major hint as to his
sort
of origin or his approximate age. He's definitely part of the tagline is he's older than he looks, and he's not quite what he seems. So he's definitely been around since at least that era of, you could say maybe the Moby Dick era, that kind of like whaling kind of maritime thing. And one of the things I wanted to do is the regular stories have a this kind of monotone color palette with almost black and white, sepia, or kind of Hitchcock. But then I wanted to do the inverse and have the flashbacks be in full color. So when you see Rigby on this old whaling ship, it's actually in bright, shocking full color.
Yeah, yeah.
I wanted that to be kind of a little bit of a twist. There's another color story later in the book, but yeah, that was a fun thing to do. But yeah, he's definitely a mystery. Like I want to, like you said, I wanted to kind of give a few hints, but not really reveal it, to make the reader just kind of ponder, like, well, who is this guy and where is he? You know, he definitely speaks in a much older, stilted kind of New Englandy Lovecraft way, even though it's the 1960s. So that's kind of a hint as to his, his origins.
And I love it too. At one point in the comic, the character, the antagonist, makes a reference of him sounding like he's from like the 1930s, when the 1960s to us is pretty ancient as well.
Right,
I just thought that was like a little funny dialogue.
Too, but yeah, like
So-
this one character is much older than him. Even is like, you got to get with the times, right?
We see that he has a unique arsenal as well. An ether pistol, is that how you say it?
Yeah. It was this idea I wanted to have, kind of like, if you think of Flash Gordon, one of the original things to combine fantasy and sci-fi. Like, I just thought, I originally had this just image of this guy in an elegant suit and a sword, but then I was like, I want to give him a ray gun too. So he's got a sword and a ray gun, kind of the classic sci-fi fantasy archetype, and have a cool steampunk ray gun. So I was like, that made it perfect. But yeah, he's got these strange weapons that also have strange, mysterious origins, like the character.
And yeah, the Sword of St. Lucy is pretty cool too. It's telepathically controlled, so it's like a dagger. You pull it out, and you can make that thing just extend on command. Where was the inspiration for this weapon? Did you kind of just create that on the spot, or did you draw influence from somewhere?
Actually, it's a bit of a inspired / ripoff of that Percy Jackson, the character which is a great little series on Disney now, but that character had a pen that turned into a sword,
Okay.
based on like Greek mythology and stuff. So I was really just trying to come up with a way for this guy to have all these weapons in his coat pocket, so he could pull out a giant sword if needed. So yeah, it was kind of inspired by that, but it was more just a logistical thing of how do I, I can't have this guy walking around with a big, scabbard and stuff. So that was sort of, yeah, it was in service of the story. But
And I mean, if I could have like a dagger that could like turn into a sword on command, I would carry that every day. I feel like that would go with me everywhere.
Right, it's like the ultimate switchblade. And yeah, a friend of mine, I was like kind of thinking, I was talking to my friend Dan, who was like, I was like, is this too much of a weird phallic thing? But he was like, no more than a lightsaber. So I was like, okay, that's true. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's okay.
So we see the collection of several different stories. The Sinister Siren, Where Dwells the Ghastly Baron, which is 3 parts, Eye of the Abyss, Blood Vigil, and Monster Mayhem, which was I thought it was such a funny nod, and it threw me off. I was not expecting it, so it was like the perfect like just chef kiss.
Cool. Yeah. That's what I want.
The Sinister Siren, though, you started off strong. I mean, in the back matter, one of the facts is that Dr. Rigby had a loved one named Eleanor, and you start off with the story with the antagonist responsible for, taking her out.
Yeah, that was actually the first Rigby story I ever wrote and created, so that I wanted to kind of throw the reader into this kind of a plot device where you're like you're trying to establish, even though it's the first story, you're trying to establish the illusion of this long history, and he's sort of this vengeful character. But yeah, that was a fun story to write, and actually that's a little twist, a little Eleanor Rigby is a famous Beatles song, so his wife is named.
Oh, I love that.
And actually that was the inspiration for the name Rigby. I just thought it was such a cool, stoic kind of, badass kind of old school name. So yeah, that was the whole kind of inspiration for that story, just this kind of revenge tale, and the implication that he's been around for a long time and has these long-standing enemies.
Well, we also, I mean, there was an interesting tidbit too where she yells out traitor. So I thought,
Yeah,
we don't have to dive too deep into that, but I thought, for you eagle eye readers out there, I thought that was interesting.
and there is sort of a pretty glaring, you're like, well, this guy isn't quite, you know, quite what he seems, quite altogether human. But yeah, I kind of wanted to just leave it kind of. Yeah, well, part of the inspiration for that was kind of the X-Files, where there'd be like a fun monster of the week kind of thing or
Hmm.
an adventure, but beneath, kind of running concurrently, there was like this long mystery that the viewers could ponder week after week, and they kind of kept it very, they kind of just led you along with little clues. So I thought,
Yeah.
trying to do that a little bit, just kind of get, breadcrumbs, like you said.
So the last time we chatted was Where Dwells the Ghastly Baron. So we'll link that in the chat for everyone that is interested in hearing about that. Eye of the Abyss, I thought was insane.
Thanks.
I thought it was insane. I thought with Dr. Rigby, when he found out the meaning of existence, that was one of the things he wanted to forget.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think it like rings so true now, right? Like the existence of humanity and like everything just going on now. It's like, yeah, I'd want to forget it too.
Yeah, you'd want to almost I don't want to know this. Yeah, yeah. It's yeah, that was a fun, I was excited like the last time we talked, like I'd only written, had the one story out, but it was exciting for me to explore these different stories and different kind of ideas. But yeah, that story is almost like a monkey's paw, like the old classic story where that wish fulfillment thing where it's like, be careful what you wish for. And then
Hmm.
he had kind of inspired again / ripoff of the monkey's paw. He uses his wishes basically to undo everything that's occurred, so it's like this kind of dark twist on, the genie or the wish fulfillment. And it's like, and of course the reader doesn't get to hear the secret of the universe, meaning
Hmm.
existence. Only Rigby does, and it almost drives him mad. So it's like, that was like a fun, like, morality play, kind of almost like an old Twilight Zone episode. That was a real fun, and that transformation scene was a lot of fun to do, where the big eye.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh man. I really loved the monotone colors. You were talking about that earlier. Do you have a certain reason which colors get applied to which stories, or is it kind of just luck of the draw?
well, it's sort of, yeah, it's more of an experimental thing. I just see what looks good. Like I tried a few different things. Like I kind of want to go for a muted palette, something that feels black and white but has pops of color. So it was really just trying different effects in Photoshop and
Hmm.
blending. Like the Eye of the Abyss was a real challenge because I wanted it to be red, but then doing it the same version, the same method as the other stories, it just looked kind of a light pink. So I created all these heavy textures. For that story, I wanted it to feel like one of these mid 60s Italian horror movies I used to watch when I was a kid, like Bava movies with like real garish red and blue lights, like it's a story about vampires and like foggy, being trapped in a car, like so. Yeah, so it depends on the story, but it's definitely something I end up having to really experiment around a lot with to see what looks good, and and what's going to be printable, because it may look good on screen, but it may not print print the same. So
So I would say Blood Vigil was probably one of my favorites. I really enjoyed the brutality of it. The monsters were really grotesque. I thought your design of them was really awesome.
thanks.
And it hit on like a really emotional level too. That at that end part was really emotional.
Yeah, man, thank you for bringing that up. 'Cause that again, that was really my intention. Was almost like this 1-2 punch, like this bait and switch kind of thing, where I wanted it to start out as this real over the top horror story that's horribly gory, but also kind of funny, like a zombie story, but then really surprise the reader with like what I consider to be a real emotional gut punch, like that one panel, there's a panel with this character Enid that I was really fond of, who becomes like this unlikely hero of the story, but I wanted it to kind of be this kind of emotional story about grief and about
Hmm.
letting go, about real world kind of issues, kind of disguised or placed within this very over the top, gory horror story. So, man, thanks for picking up on. It was what I wanted, a real emotional gut punch at the end.
And the color choice for that was like it added such a like a level of suspense to the horror too. It felt like what 30 Days of Night, I think.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
were definitely inspired by that kind of ferocious piranha. Like
Yeah,
the
dude.
Rigby universe is sort of Lovecraftian and maritime and kind of sea life. So I wanted them to be just these impossibly sharp razor teeth sticking out, you know.
Oh
So
my god, that panel of Eden, and she, for anyone who has not seen it, she's like a gentle old lady you would bump into that at the grocery store, you know what I mean? Just
yeah,
like face to face with this like horrendous like vampire. Well, it's not vampire. It's the what the vampire lore is based on,
yeah,
which I thought was awesome too. I never knew that. Um, but you see this up close panel of this just like horrendous jaw like right by your face, and you're like, oh god.
yeah. It's and again, I wanted it to start out with because she's meant to be sort of comic relief, like the old um, the old nosy neighbor trope, kind of hysterical lady. Like probably you're too young to remember Bewitched, but like she's based on this lady from Bewitched, who's like a silly, hysterical comic relief lady. But then I wanted it to to have her have kind of a deep backstory, and to her sort of be the hero that actually Rigby could not be, because she had empathy and showed mercy for the vampires, which is what ultimately, spoiler, which helps save the day. So
Mm-hmm.
that's part of the thing. Is I like the idea that the protagonist Rigby doesn't just go in and slay the monster. He sort of sometimes inspires a quality in another character that can sort of surprise the reader story wise. And so that was real. I really enjoyed that character and all those three characters together trapped in a van. It was like fun, like fun thing to write.
A church van too, which I thought was just perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that protected them. It was a holy ground, so they
Hmm.
were safe.
And last but not least, Monster Mayhem, I feel, is like the one that kind of gives us the most lore behind Dr. Rigby.
Yeah, that was again super fun to write and super neat to switch it up. I wanted to introduce the idea of Rigby having an apprentice, this young woman who is sort of smart enough to discover what he's actually doing. And Rigby, like Indiana Jones, his day job, he's like this buttoned up college professor. That's why he's a doctor.
Hmm.
Teaches at this New England college. But and yeah, and I wanted to do this whole juxtaposition of this serious badass Rigby, and he has this rival gang of monster hunters that does the same thing, but they're these silly hippie Scooby-Doo characters.
Hmm.
And that was super fun because in the beginning of that story, I wanted to feel like he was emerging out of a Hitchcock movie and walking into a Scooby-Doo cartoon, which was super fun to illustrate. So
And
yeah,
that's set in the modern day, if I'm not mistaken, right?
yeah. It's meant to be like 69, 70 or
Well, the
whatever.
modern day of the Dr. Rigby universe.
Oh yeah, right, yeah. So
So, dude, it was awesome. I love the Scooby Doo twist. Was the dog modeled after your dog?
my older dog, yes, it was. I had two French bulldogs, so I definitely wanted to have the dog be a French bulldog. Yeah,
And I love the monster of the week too. It was like a back to back like twist, which was so awesome too.
yeah. The pulling off of the
Hmm.
mask. There's kind of a recurring like symbolism of masks and disguise, and it's like, so that was kind of a lighthearted way to show it, but then it becomes very dark at the end, and
Yeah, and that dialogue between Dr. Rigby and Candace, where she's like, "Did you just say meddling?"
right, yeah, like yeah, it's like part of the humor of the book is he doesn't understand how out of place he is. He's sort of like everyone else thinks he's this weirdo who talks like an old-fashioned book, but it's like, yeah, it's part of the fun of it.
So you said you had some goodies for us. Are you able to screen share?
Yeah, well, I can let's see. I can share, let's see, allow, sorry.
And for everyone that is watching, be sure to hit up johnkissee.com Are they're able to buy the book there as well?
Uh, there's a link tree on there to buy it.
Okay.
I'm not sure if this is working. Sorry to slow us
No,
down.
you're fine. No worries at all. I'm excited. Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. This might be a little a little outside of your taste, but for me, when I was a kid, Pokemon was all the hype, and it just released on the Switch today. Man, I've been playing it all morning.
Oh, was it does it live up
Oh
to your?
yeah. So me and Lily were just laying in bed. She was watching me play. Oh, it was like a really good bonding time. I'm like, I can't wait till you're old enough to play this yourself, young one.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. Yeah. Well, yeah, our nephews and stuff are like, it's funny to be like, I'm more of the vintage Star Wars age, and now
Mm-hmm.
like all those people are having the Pokemon nostalgia and looking for the old cards and stuff. So
I do a lot of Magic the Gathering, and I take my kids to the card shop, and we always let them pick out go through the dollar holographic box. And I wish when I was a kid that was around. You know what I mean? I feel like I was on the forefront of like being a pioneer with like Pokemon. And then like now all these kids have it way easier.
yeah, yeah.
I had to walk through 3 miles of snow just to get to a card shop.
Right. Every generation has that old school experience. Are you seeing? Can you tell?
I seen it popped up and then it disappeared.
It's still just okay. Choose content to share. Looks like it's not working. Darn. But oh well. It keeps blocking. But yeah, I was going to share some images of what we were talking about. But on my website, you can see some of. There's a lot.
Let me see if I can just pull up your website.
Oh yeah, that's another option. Oh, cool.
Boom. All right. So oh man, this reminds me too. There was one scene in particular. It was like this corpse like hanging, and there was like this octopus on it that was like just so wild. This tentacle.
Yeah, there's a lot of tentacles and Lovecraftian horror in the book. Yeah. So yeah, that's sort of the beginning of this ghostly Baron story, which is basically a haunted house attraction ride that gets possessed or haunted itself by something that's much more horrible than a normal ghost. So that's Rigby investigating. But those are panels. Yeah.
I thought it was really crazy that the ending. It makes you question a lot.
Yeah, that's again, that kind of Twilight Zone twisty ending where you're like, what did I understand what I just saw? So
Mm-hmm.
I always like that. I always like to be surprised like that in stories that I read. So that's Rigby. I realized early on I had to show what a badass Rigby is fighting. So I have this like scene where he slaughters all these zombie ghosts with his sword. So it's like to show that he can handle himself.
One thing I really enjoyed about your work in this series was like the perspective views. Like there was this one scene, I forgot which story it was, but we're looking from like a rooftop angled down and as they're walking on the sidewalk. And it was like perfect. Like I love your attention to detail.
Thanks. Yeah. I try to make it feel like try to switch it up and like switch up the angles and everything to make it dramatic. This panel here, this sequence is my love letter to Alien and The Thing. I wanted to do like a really horrific transformation scene. So this guy, his eyeball and a tentacle pops out, and then he transforms into this horrific creature that also still is a little bit funny. Like it was also based a bit on a Warner Brothers Alien cartoon. So yeah, so that was a real fun sequence to draw.
Yeah, poor Oliver, man.
Yeah, but he makes it okay. So no spoilers, but Rigby uses one of his wishes to. But this was a super fun. This giant thing eating Rigby and sort of messing with his mind, and Yeah, the whole story inside the haunted house is meant to just be like a complete psychedelic horror trip.
Now, I know we talked about it before, but for anyone that's tuning in for the first time, can you tell us like the hints of like purple, like the highlighted parts? What is the symbolism behind that?
Well, I just wanted initially when the story begins, it's lit up green, kind of like if you've ever been to the haunted house ride at Disney World or
Hmm.
Disneyland. Everything's got this kind of greenish, ghostly thing. But then as the story went on and you realize that the haunted house was morphing into something worse or more horrific, the purple crept in. And I was actually inspired a lot by these old 60s Spider-Man cartoons that by Ralph Bakshi directed, where he'd put these trippy dippy acid like this, like these acidic purple
Yeah.
in there. So yeah, that was just really to signal to the reader that the real trippiness is starting.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your approach here to some of your techniques, the texturing and some of the design within these panels?
Yeah, so everything, all the figures are drawn first in pencil, then I scan them and ink them digitally. But yeah, there are some textures that I bring in, and certain pieces, things like rock or metal, that I actually pull in real scanned textures and turn them into line art. But I try to combine them with the line art in a way so where it doesn't look jarring, so it looks like it's part of the universe and fits in with the story. But they're things that I could never draw myself, like real intricate
Hmm.
little stuff. But they're really just meant to be little pops of detail and texture, like like the tail, the eel tail of this
Yeah.
Serena. That's actually based on a real like scan of a fish, eel
Oh,
skeleton.
that's so cool.
Yeah, so I wanted to feel like, this kind of layered, textured vibe.
And I love how you put like the spin on the monster of the week. So the siren is like super famous, super loved. People adore her, and she demands people adore her. And I just loved your approach to that character. And this is what I was talking about too, like how each page kind of like this page has its own like different like hue to it compared to
Yeah,
when you first meet the siren.
yeah, definitely in that story, that was the first few pages are kind of sand, beach colored, warm. And then once they go into this mermaid bar, it shifts to this blue. And then the rest of the story is in that blue. So yeah, definitely that's a case of where it's sort of just fitting the environment and the background of the story. And that's of course where Serena's real form is revealed, where she's like the little mermaid from hell. Like she's like horrifying, like sea creature.
We have our good friend Luis lurking and listening over on Twitch. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Oh man, this Breaking Bad is awesome.
Oh yeah, this is some of my other illustration work, but this is not in Dr. Rigby, but I wish it was. But there's
Yeah,
like
cooking a different kind of blue in Dr. Rigby.
yeah. You see the specter of Heisenberg over him.
That's awesome, though. I'm a huge fan of Breaking Bad. I obsessively get into like the analytical breakdown of the characters. Like they do a really cool thing too, where each character has their own assigned color. So they'll wear a certain color like shirt. I thought that
Yeah,
was really cool.
so fun to rewatch and kind of like see those details, right? It's like
No, absolutely. John, this has been one hell of a sit down. I loved all the work you put into this. You are the sole creator, writer, artist, letterer. Um, Man, how many more issues do you have of Dr. Rigby in the work? Is it going to be an ongoing series until it ends, or like what are we
well,
looking at?
the issue. I definitely have many other stories in the pipeline. It's just my ability to get them done. I'm very busy with my regular work, and I'm actually I'm working on some other projects and stuff, but I definitely, yeah, it's definitely some other stories and more reveals of his origin. So I'm hoping if people like the book, they'll just be patient and like Stranger Things style and wait, be willing to wait a few seasons until more stuff comes up. But yeah, I've got some really neat stories in the pipeline for Rigby.
So, I mean, he has a sword that expands telepathically, a pistol made with the help of Nikki Tesla.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of mentions of the Weird War. Is there anything you can give us about that without spoiling too much?
Just that, well, in that Scooby Doo story, the character Candace, on her own, figures out quite a bit about the Weird War. That it's actually a nickname for this conflict that's been going on for centuries, essentially between humanity and these otherworldly kind of Lovecraftian creatures. But people throughout history and literature have been involved in the Weird War, like Nikola Tesla for one, this guy who was like an analog for Walt Disney in the story, who becomes like a villain. He's involved. So it's actually it would be revealed to be this kind of ongoing thing where maybe even Captain Ahab from Moby Dick was involved in it, and they weren't necessarily chasing a whale. So that's definitely a big hook into, no pun intended, to Rigby's origin and his story. But yeah, definitely some stories more will be revealed if you stick with it.
So anyone watching or listening, be sure to check out the description. We'll have a link to follow John on all of his social media platforms. I think we have you on Blue Sky and Instagram. Is there anything else?
That's it. Just those two in my website. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So what are you up to in the future? Is there anything you can let us know, or is it all still kind of beneath the wraps?
Well, I'm working on a collaboration with a couple of folks that you've had on the show before. Again, it's kind of slow going because we're all busy with our jobs and family and stuff. But yeah, so that's something we actually hope to reveal soon. It's written by one guy and art by myself and a few other folks. And I have a new character in the works that I'm hoping to get another one shot published, which I'll
that's so cool.
you about. A very big departure from Rigby, but a lot of fun. So hopefully I can come on again. And
what type of genre are we looking at?
Superhero.
Okay.
Like, the elevator pitch is sort of a trashy Batman. Like if Batman,
I love that.
Directed by John Waters or something. Very low rent Batman.
So, John, you've been on the show before. You know the drill. We always love asking for a piece of advice and then what you're up to outside of creating. So, for the artists out there looking to find their style, as a creator who really has embraced their own style and has found some great success with it, what would be your biggest suggestion to them to help them kind of, embrace their own style and really, dig into it?
Yeah, I would say focus on what you like. Really, you don't try to necessarily, imitate or create a style that you think is going to be popular, but really, I mean, certainly if there's artists that inspire you, work in that vein, but just to be true. I kind of guess that corny thing of be true to yourself and what you really like, because people, if you enjoy it, it'll probably resonate with other people. So yeah, and just keep at it and try to do your best. If you have a page that doesn't look so great, maybe do it over or like try to fix it up so it's really your best work, because you really want your best stuff out there.
Yeah, I recently read How to Analyze and Review Comics, and cover to cover, and one of the biggest pieces of advice that I took away from it was, even if you don't get paid, if you want to be serious, you got to take it serious. If you want to be successful, you have to put the work in, even if you're not getting paid.
Yeah, that is another big. I mean, of course, always try to be paid for your work, but don't ever consider work a waste of time. Like anything you do makes you better, and anything can be a possible portfolio piece. So as long as you're creating, I think you're in a good space.
Yeah,
like
always get paid.
Yeah.
If you're, a comic journalism is what I meant more or less. Like, for journalism, it's a little harder to get paid. Still should get paid for your work, but journalism, even if you don't get paid for your publication, you should still put that 110% effort in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, any creative person or any person that has a passion, like you do for what you do, it's like you got to put in the work no matter.
I need to put that meme up right now. Like, you guys are getting paid.
Right. Yeah. Hey, what's that? Bro?
So, John, what are you up to outside of creating Dr. Rigby? What TV shows are you watching? What books are you reading?
Let's see. I'm one of my favorite authors is Joyce Carol Oates. I always pick up her books. She's always got great kind of psychological mysteries. Let's see. I'm watching Fallout. I'm really enjoying Fallout.
Oh, it's so good. What season are you on?
It's like such a juggling a lot of like really dark stuff with really funny stuff.
You on the first or second season?
Second season, just.
Oh yeah, I felt like the second one hits a lot harder than the first one.
Yeah, it's taking it it's really growing the story and the characters a lot. Yeah, Fallout's great. Last year I really enjoyed the movies Weapons and Sinners, like these new there's this new crop of directors that are really surprising. These movies like where you just go in not knowing anything about it and you're really kind of surprised and yeah, so a lot of cool creative stuff. As the real world gets crummier, the creative world seems to be getting better. So,
it's such a horrible trade-off. If only we could just get the good creative stuff right.
Yeah.
All right, so everyone that is watching, here is a link to check out John Kissee's website, johnkissee.com. Be sure to check it out and get that order in for Dr. Rigby. It's an awesome read. I had a fantastic time checking it out. The stories are awesome. I thought the page texture was like perfectly fitted to the story. And you can read it in one afternoon. That's the best part. It's a bunch of self-contained stories, but it's also easy to read in one afternoon. And I think you guys will love it. I had an awesome time checking it out. With that being said, it is time for us to wrap up. I hope you all have a lovely Friday. But most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.